Greetings, yogis, and welcome to this holiday morning yoga. Slow down, take care of yourself, move your body, wake up slow. No props are needed for this practice. Grab a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or a bottle of water. Gather what you need, and I'll see you on the mat. So, starting on our backs sounds really good. So we'll just come on down, find your Shavasana, and just let yourself relax here. And just kind of come into this moment, come into your body, maybe even imagining yourself dropping down into your body. And then just sort of energetically stretching out like you were putting on gloves or stretching down deep into socks. Only let those gloves be your fingers and those socks be your feet. And just begin to smooth out the breath. And if you notice any places of tension, just allow them to relax. Focusing on slow, deep breaths. Maybe there's a spot in your body where you often hold tension, maybe your jaw or your shoulders, maybe even a hip or some part of your lower back or belly. Just let it go. Just give it some love. Feel all the places that you're connected to the earth, all the places where you're rooted down. And then as you're exhaling, begin to really pull the belly button back, actually physically pressing all the air out of your lungs. And then let your belly naturally spring forward as you inhale. Exhaling, pulling the belly button back, squeezing all the air out of the lungs. And inhale, release. And one more time here, exhaling, pulling that belly button all the way back. And inhale to release. And this time, as you're pulling that belly button back, begin to allow that right leg to float up from the floor. And you can interlace your fingers around your shin or underneath your knee. And just begin to do some gentle ankle movements here. Waking up that ankle, giving it a little love before it spends the day carrying us around everywhere. And then you can let that come to stillness and just really pull that
right knee into the chest. Maybe extending out long through that left leg now, really pressing out through the heel, flexing the foot. And then as we're exhaling, we'll switch sides here, pulling that left knee into the chest, extending out long through the right leg, and then giving that left ankle some love. Some little ankle circles here. And then let that come to stillness, and we'll pull that left knee back towards the body, really stretching out through the right heel, pulling the right toes back, flexing the foot. And now begin to move with the breath, pulling one knee into the chest as you extend out long through the other leg. And I'm not going to direct your breath here because I want for you to find it. So see where it feels natural for you to inhale and exhale. And just really be mindful of that here for a moment. Really pulling that knee back as you extend the other leg. You might even pull the knee out a little to the outside of the body, getting a little stretch in the inner thigh. And then when you're ready, we'll bring both knees into the chest. And you can rock side to side here a little bit if that feels good, or maybe curl up into a ball if you'd like a little bit more for the spine right here. And then we'll allow the soles of both feet to find the floor. And we're going to walk those heels just as close to the tail as we can here. Bringing the palms down to the floor. We are going to move the hips up into bridge pose. And again, I'm not going to direct your breath here because I want you to find the place that feels normal and natural for you. So perhaps inhaling as you raise the hips feels good for you, or maybe it's exhaling. So just find your own practice here, your own rhythm as you raise the hips and then lower them, allowing each movement to be directed by your breath. Imagining that you have a block in between your knees and that you're trying to keep that block from falling out. So keeping those thighs energetically moving in towards one another. You might envision your body like a great wave here, moving with the waves of your breath. And come through this twice more. And then allow this to come to stillness. And we'll bring the knees back into the chest. Again, find some movement here if you like. And then we're going to allow the arms to fall open to the sides. And start with your hands palm up here so that you can really snuggle those shoulder blades under the back. And then if you like to turn the hands palm down, you're welcome to do that. And then again, moving with the breath, we'll exhale as we drop the knees over to one side. Either side is fine. And then inhale as we pull the knees back into center over the body. Exhaling as we drop the knees to the other side. And you can bring a little movement into the neck here also by just allowing the gaze to fall over the opposite shoulder as you move the legs side to side. Exhaling as we drop the legs. Inhaling as we bring the legs back to center. Exhaling to drop the legs. Inhaling back to center. And as we prepare to bring this to stillness, continue as many more times as your body needs here, even if that is long after we move to a different pose. Just listen to yourself. And if you're ready to come to stillness, you can bring the knees back over the body, and we'll just do some gentle hip motion here, just allowing the knees to open out and away from each other. And finding your breath in this movement. Finding that place where it feels natural and normal to you to inhale and exhale. And then taking this in the opposite direction. Getting that fluid moving in our joints. And then we'll allow that to come to stillness. We're going to allow the soles of both feet to find the floor. And we'll roll to one side. Press ourselves up into a tabletop position here. And once you find yourself here, just check in for a moment with the joints. Make sure the ankles. So I do that every time. I call my wrists my ankles. Okay, so make sure your wrists are underneath your shoulders and your knees are under your hips, pressing away from the mat, pulling that front body into the back body, and then just coming through some cat-cow. Saying good morning to the spine. Letting that come to stillness whenever you're ready. We'll meet in our neutral tabletop position. And then from here, allowing the right toes to come to the mat as we press back through the right heel, feeling that stretch in the calf. Continuing to press away from the mat, nice wide fingers. And allow that right knee to come down. We'll extend out through the left heel. Holding it here for a couple of breaths. Allowing that calf muscle to lengthen, wake up. And then bringing the left knee down. As we are exhaling, we'll extend through that right leg, allowing it to rise off the floor now. The inner thigh rotating up towards the ceiling. And if you'd like, you can extend through that left arm. I'm extending right into my Christmas tree. And allow that to release down to the floor. Extending out through the left leg now, left inner thigh rotating up towards the ceiling, allowing that left hip to lower down, and then extending long through that right arm. Exhaling, bringing both limbs down to the floor, and we'll begin to move through this in a flow. So inhaling here, and then exhaling as we extend. And if extending both limbs doesn't work for you, just extend one, maybe just the hand or the leg. Inhaling as we come back through neutral, exhale to extend. Finding your breath and the speed of your movement. Continuing to support the spine with the belly. And coming through this just a couple more times until you feel like you're relatively even on both sides. And if you don't remember what side you started on, that's totally fine. Just feel it out. And then we'll allow the hands and knees to find the floor. We're going to allow the knees to come out wide, shifting the hips back and coming into child's pose with our hands extended. And just take a moment to breathe here and really allow the breath to be what stretches the lower back and the mid back. Imagine that you can intentionally extend your lungs into your back body. And then on your next inhale, allow yourself to ride up the wave of your breath. And we'll tuck the toes under and shift the hips back and up, coming into our first downward facing dog. Knees are nice and bent, pressing out of the mat, pedaling out through the feet. Not trying to accomplish anything here, just feeling into this pose. Good. And now if you're pedaling out through the heels, you can just bring that to stillness. No need to try to force the heels down to the floor. Just let them be wherever they are. And we'll take the gaze forward and begin to walk slowly up to the top of the mat. Coming into our forward fold. And let's go ahead and bend deeply into the knees as we inhale. Exhaling as we extend the knees. Moving gently with yourself here, inhaling to drop the hips, bending the knees. Exhale to extend. Inhale once more, dropping the knees. Exhale to extend. And now we'll bend the knees. You can take one hand above each knee if you like, or allow the arms to sweep up overhead as we stand, reaching the arms up, up, up out of the side body. And let's go ahead and grasp the left wrist here with the right hand. We'll pull up and out of that left hip and extend over to the right, just a little for a little side bend. Keeping a little micro bend in the knees. Inhaling back up to stand, switching the grip, grasping that right wrist in the left hand, pulling up and out of the right side, And extending over to the left just slightly. Inhaling back up to center, we'll allow both hands to meet overhead and exhale the hands down to heart center. Just take a moment to connect and to breathe. Connecting here to everything that is magical and mystical and divine in your own heart. And then we'll allow the hands to drop. We're going to step out wide on the mat. So go ahead and step out a little wider than your shoulders and allow all 10 toes to face forward. We're going to do some moonflowers and sunflowers here. So just a note about the knees. Traditionally, we do this with the toes facing forward, but if you have any pain in your knees, turn your feet out to about 45 degrees and make sure that those knees are trekking out over the toes if you experience any discomfort. So from here, we'll just inhale the arms up overhead, really reaching out through the fingertips, and just exhale, sweeping the hands down slightly, inhaling to come up, exhale, sweeping down. And as we're sweeping down, opening the knees out to the sides, getting a little external rotation here. You might even feel a little stretch in the inner thigh. And just allow your body to guide you here as to when you want to begin to take this a little deeper. So if your body says, nope, not today, that's okay. Just let that be. And if your body says, hey, yeah, sure, we'll go a little deeper here, just follow. And if you begin to brush the mat with your fingertips, that's fine. And if you never make it there, that's fine too. And one last time here, really big, deep breath. Exhale, sweeping down. Inhaling, hands back up overhead. Bringing those hands together and down to heart center. And then we'll heel toe those feet in towards each other, coming back to our equal standing pose. Feet about shoulder width apart. And then we'll allow the arms to sweep up overhead as we exhale back into chair. Inhaling to come up. So coming through a little chair flow here. And if it doesn't work for you to inhale those arms up overhead, just allow them to come out front. We'll keep the hands at heart center. And again, there's no right or wrong with the breath here, as long as you're breathing. So if you find yourself inhaling when you think you should be exhaling, just let that go. And one more here. And now, if sweeping the arms up overhead works for you, I invite you to come into your chair, holding it here for a moment, really sinking those hips back and down, maybe checking in to see if you can see your toes. And then we're going to bring the hands to heart center And we'll take the weight into the left foot here. So really grounding down, firming through that left leg and foot. And then we'll bring the right leg to the top of the left knee. And no need to struggle here. You can always come to a wall or a piece of furniture. And if you find your balance and you'd like to challenge yourself to lower your elbows to your foot and knee, or even bring your hands to the floor or to blocks, those are all options here. We'll inhale to release, shaking out through both legs here. Take a moment to readjust anything you need. And then once again, we'll inhale the arms up overhead. Exhale, releasing down into our chair pose. Nice big inhale here as we allow that spine to grow long and straight. And then exhaling, hands to heart center, firming into that right leg and bringing the left ankle to the top of the right thigh. Finding your one leg chair or standing pigeon expression here. And then when you're ready, inhaling up and releasing the pose, shaking out the legs. So we'll travel back to the top of the mat. And coming right into our Tadasana. We'll inhale the arms up overhead. Exhale as we release into our fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale to release all the way down. And we'll come back into a plank or half plank here. And we'll come today to knees, chest, and chin. So if you're in a full plank, allow your knees to come to the floor. And we'll lower down to knees, chest, and chin. And then all the way to the floor, noticing that that's a somewhat more gentle way to come down than our usual chaturanga. Inhaling up to a baby cobra. Exhale to release. Pressing back up to the knees. Shifting the hips back for child's pose. Inhaling to come forward. Lowering knees, chest, and chin. Inhaling up, baby cobra. Exhale to release. Pressing back up to knees. And moving back into child's pose. And continuing to move through the breath, with the breath, for this modified vinyasa. Pressing back to child's pose when you're ready. You can skip this whole vinyasa and just hang out in child's pose here if that's what you need. Otherwise, inhaling back to knees, chest, and chin. If you become ready to scoop up into up dog, you can do that. Coming back to child's pose. So just listening here, listening to your back, listening to your body as it's waking up. And move through this one last time on your own. And then when you've come to your last little modified vinyasa there, we'll come back to tabletop. We're going to shift the hips over to the right side here, Taking a look over that right shoulder, stretching out through the left side body. Inhaling back to center, and then shifting the hips to the left, looking over the left shoulder. And just take a moment to take this through a flow as well. So inhaling back to center, exhaling as you look over the shoulder, moving the hips in the same direction. And then let that go. Coming back to our neutral tabletop position, we're going to take the hands, a couple of handprints out in front. And this time we're going to drop the elbows slightly and allow the elbows and shoulder blades, well, the elbows to spread and the shoulder blades to come towards each other, coming into a modified puppy pose. So your hips are right over your knees. And you're being supported by your elbows here, forehead's on the floor. Tailbones rotating up towards the ceiling. And you can press into both palms here, inhaling to come back up. And if you like, you can walk those knees back slightly. You can come back into that modified puppy pose, or if you like, you can extend now into more traditional expression of the pose, bringing the heart down towards the mat and the forehead or the chin to the floor. But again, keeping that stacking of the hips right over the knees. And take a moment here to breathe. And then we'll all press into the palms. If your elbows are wide, bring them back to shoulder width. We're going to allow the elbows and forearms to find the floor as we shift forward into Sphinx pose. So once you find yourself with your belly on the floor, make sure that your elbows are right underneath your shoulders. Spread those fingers out wide, reach out long, and then pull back. Heart is shining forward, gaze has come forward, getting a little bit of a back bend here. And we'll allow this to release and come all the way down to the belly. We're going to allow the arms to reach back next to our sides. Backs of the hands are resting on the floor, palms are facing up. We're going to come into locust pose here. So we'll start just lifting the legs. And you have your choice here as to whether you'd like to have your feet and legs close together or if you'd like for them to be separated. So just find that place where your body wants to be. And on our next inhale, we'll allow the pelvis to press into the floor as we lift the feet from the floor. Exhale to allow that to release. Lift the feet once again with your inhale. Exhale to release. And now keeping the feet planted on the floor, as we're inhaling, we'll shift those hands back like someone's pulling us back, lifting the chest from the floor, keeping the gaze down at the floor. Exhale to release. Inhale to move back up into the shape. Exhale to release. And this time, as you're inhaling, if you'd like, you can extend both the arms and the legs. Exhale, release. Inhale, coming up. Shoulder blades moving towards each other. Exhale, release. And then this time we'll inhale. allowing whichever part of the body you like to rise, and we'll hold it here. 3 breaths. Good. Allow that to release. Forehead comes to the floor. We'll extend both arms out, long to the sides, palms down like a big T. And then we're going to draw that right hand close to the chest, pressing into the floor here as we roll over towards the left side. So stretching through the front of this left shoulder. And your knees can be bent or straight here as you roll onto your side. And if you'd like to bring that top leg around behind, putting the sole of the foot on the floor, that deepens this sensation just a bit. Breathe into your shoulder. We spend so much time in our daily lives hunched forward over devices and computer screens, and at this time of year, maybe packing packages or cooking. So we don't extend this muscle in the front of the shoulder very often. Rolling back onto your belly now. Allow yourself to gently come down, extending that right arm out, bringing the left hand in front of the chest and gently rolling to the right side. Finding where you like to place your legs. Maybe the sole of the foot comes to the floor, maybe not. Maybe your shape is more like a fetal position or legs extended. And rolling back onto your belly. Now, allow yourself to stack your palms on top of each other, bringing your head to the back of your hands here for just a moment. And then when you're ready, bring your hands back to the sides of your chest, pressing back up to tabletop. And we'll just find a couple of cat-cows here. And allow that to come back to neutral spine. You have your choice here for this next shape, yogi's choice. You can walk the hands out a couple of handprints and come into your down dog. If you would like a little bit more back bend today, you can drop the elbows to the floor and come back into Sphinx pose or puppy pose. Or if you like, you can drop the elbows to the floor and interlace the fingers, rolling the toes under and shifting up into a dolphin pose. So this is sort of a modified down dog. Strengthens the shoulders, gives the wrists a break. And if you did choose this dolphin, you can just play with it a little, maybe walking the feet a little closer to the face, seeing how that changes things. Remembering to really press up and out of the shoulder joint. And maybe walking the feet back slightly. Rolling that tailbone up towards the sky, really extending through the back of the legs. And then we'll all Drop the knees to the floor and come back onto the belly, maybe shifting slightly through Sphinx as you do so, depending on how you've come down. And then allow yourself to release all the way back to the floor, extending the arms out long next to the sides, setting up for a couple more locust poses here. And if you like, this time you can interlace the fingers behind the base of the spine or the tailbone, and really allow the shoulder blades to move towards each other. And then finding your expression of locust here, lifting only the legs or only the upper body or both. We'll inhale to extend out long. And if you have those fingers intertwined, really press those knuckles down and away. Holding here for a couple of breaths. And exhale to release. Allow yourself a moment's rest. And then we'll inhale back to your expression of locust. Focusing on the breath, maybe finding a focal point, maybe closing your eyes here and going inward. And then we'll allow that to release. Hands come back next to the chest and pressing back into child's pose. Nice deep breath here. And then riding that breath up like a wave. Coming back to tabletop. Do just a little for the abs here. So your choice in this tabletop is to have your toes rolled under or the tops of your feet pressing into the floor. But we're going to press into our foundation, really pulling that front body to the back body, and begin to press into your feet until you're pressing so firmly into your feet that your knees begin to rise from the floor, coming into our hovering table. And allow that to release. Take a nice deep breath here. And then another inhale. And as you're exhaling, find that hovering table once again. Really imagining that you're pulling that belly button all the way to the back body. Being mindful to extend out of the shoulder joints as you press the mat away. And then allow that to release. You can come into any version of child's pose here that you like. If it's available to your body to keep your knees close together, it can feel good to allow the hands to come back and the upper back stretch out here. And then we'll bring the hands back close to the chest. We're going to shift around into a seated position. So allow yourself to come to sitting. And then once you've found your way into your seated pose, we're going to allow the hands to sweep up overhead. And we'll interlace the fingers here and then press the palms up towards the ceiling, pressing out and away. Inhaling here And then we'll exhale as we slowly bring those extended hands down in front and really imagine that you're plugging your shoulders back onto the back here. Inhale to press the palms out and away, really kind of drawing an arch as you come up here. Exhale. One last time here, pressing out and away. And this time, as you're exhaling, allow the fingers to unbind, sweeping the hands around back and interlacing the fingers behind the back, but interlacing them in the way that feels unusual or odd. And then press those knuckles down and away. And then allow that to release. So bring your legs now to parallel so that your bones are not stacked on top of each other. And it doesn't matter what leg you have forward here, but we'll inhale the arms up and then exhale to allow the hands to just rain down, finding the floor in front of us. And keeping the chest nice and wide and open, we'll begin to walk forward slowly. Walking out only as far forward as feels good for you. So we're stretching the outside of the front leg here. Just allowing yourself to breathe into whatever areas feel like they're strengthening and lengthening here. And if there's some natural movement, some little sway that happens for you, just let that happen. And then when you're ready, as we're inhaling, we'll walk the fingertips back towards the body. We're going to reverse the cross of the legs. And then once again, inhale the arms up overhead. Exhale, allowing those fingertips to rain down. And then walking the hands out any amount. Just feeling that stretch in the outer thigh. And just a note here, if this shape is really challenging for you, there are various ways that you can support yourself in this shape. You can always use blocks underneath your knees, or use blocks underneath your elbows, or even use some pillows or a bolster here to make this shape more accessible for you. And we'll walk those fingertips back towards the body. I'm going to allow the legs to come out wide now. And you might want to reach underneath the thigh here and just pull some flesh out of the way to allow the legs to rotate out. We're going to take the left hand to the inside of the left leg as we inhale up through the right arm, and then just extend over any amount, just allowing that left hand to slide along the inside of the left leg. So we're stretching the inner thigh and stretching the side body here. And then we'll inhale to allow that to release, taking the right hand to the inside of the right thigh now, inhaling up through the left hand and exhaling over towards the right. Inhale to allow that to release. Take both hands underneath the knees and use the hands to help us draw the knees back into the body. We'll switch back around onto the back, bringing the knees into the chest. And as we did in the beginning, We're going to interlace the fingers around one shin as we extend the other leg out long. And it doesn't matter which leg you choose here, really pulling that leg into the chest. And then you're going to take your opposite hand to that shin and draw that knee over across the body as you extend the other arm out long. Now, if you shift your hips to the side slightly, you might be able to find the floor with your bent knee or perhaps a block. You might not, it's not required. And then inhale to bring that knee back to the chest. You can take your hands behind your knee here and extend the sole of the foot up towards the ceiling. So we're pressing out through the extended heel here on both feet. And then if you like, you can take your peace fingers around the big toe, pulling back here. If you like to take your hand to the outside of your foot, you can do that. So this is a half happy baby. And then allow that to release. Knee comes back into the chest. We'll bring the other knee into the chest to meet it. Extend that other leg out long. Really pull that knee into the chest. Opposite hand comes to shin. Arm goes out long, pulling that knee across the body. Maybe finding the floor, maybe not. Gaze goes over the opposite shoulder. Inhaling the knee back to the chest, finding that interlace of the fingers behind the knee, extending that foot up towards the ceiling. And then finding where you like for your grip to be here. It can stay behind that knee if you like, just coming into our half happy baby. And then allowing that to release, hugging that knee back into the chest one last time. And then on an exhale, extending that leg long next to the other one and letting it all go, coming into Shavasana. And we'll take a silent Shavasana today. This season can be very busy, full of lots of internal and external noise. So taking just a couple of minutes here to rest together in silence and stillness. Take a nice deep wake up breath. Maybe extend your arms up overhead and then roll to one side, cradling your head on your arm for a moment. Pressing yourself back up to seated as you become ready. Perhaps keeping your eyes closed or your gaze lowered. And we'll close this morning's practice with an Irish holiday blessing. Blessed be your holiday, cozy be your hearth, merry be your family, and peaceful be your heart. Thank you so much for joining me for this practice today. And may your yoga follow you off the mat and throughout your day.